Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing Bodies and Season 2 of Our Flag Means Death. So before I head into my thoughts and feelings on these two shows, Bodies and Our Flag Means Death Season 2, quick disclaimer, I am definitely not going to have any spoilers for the television show Bodies, but I will have spoilers for my thoughts on Season 2 of Our Flag Means Death. So yeah, I'm definitely going to start with Bodies first. That way, if you are interested in hearing about that, my non-spoilery thoughts, and then if you have seen Our Flag Means Death Season 2, you can stick around and hear my spoilery thoughts on that one. So yeah, let's get going. At first, I was thinking, should I even combine these shows together, because I have enough thoughts on both of them that they can have their own individual reviews, but alas, months are rather short, and I only upload videos, twice a week, and the way I was calculating things, I was like, I have to unfortunately combine both of these shows because I really want to talk about both of them, but I have nowhere else to talk about them in the month. So yeah, combined they became. And the thing is, weirdly enough, I think in some ways both of these shows do have some common ground in some interesting ways. Even though the TV show Bodies is a science fiction time travel show, and it's a drama, and then Our Flag Means Death is a gay pirate rom-com. They're two totally different shows as far as like a genre goes, but I think they do have common ground. They I guess the big one, both shows do feature, a gay romance of some sort, gay characters. And then other common ground with the shows, I think what both shows kind of share, they feature characters who feature misfits, people who are outsiders, characters who are looking for acceptance, characters who are looking for love. I do think they have that commonality for the most part, which I think kind of makes them good to combine within this particular review, I think. But yeah, as far as genre, they're definitely totally different. But I think if you like one or the other, I think you'll like them both, I think. So I'm going to start with Bodies first, my non-spoilery thoughts on Bodies. If you have no idea what the TV show Bodies is about, Bodies aired on Netflix with 8 episodes, and reading off the IMDb plot synopsis for this show, wait for it, you guys. It follows 4 detectives in 4 different time periods in London who find themselves investigating the same murder of a naked man on the exact same street. Bizarre, yeah, guys, but oh so good. Seriously, within like the first is it maybe the first 15-20 minutes or so, I think, of the first episode, I think easily by the first 20 minutes all of the time periods in each detective does kind of get quickly established. And yeah, what they all have in common is that on this exact same street, but in 4 completely different time periods, this naked body of a man is just lying on the street, and he has like some strange markings on his arm. He's been shot through the eye. Why is he naked? And yet he's laying in the exact same position. He looks the exact same. So if that doesn't have you instantly hooked from the get-go, I don't know what else will get you hooked. Because that definitely drew me in very quickly with this show, and I was just instantly like, wow, I'm hooked. I need to know what's going on here. And I think if you're sitting and thinking you kind of know where it's going, you might pleasantly be surprised, like kind of the direction it does ultimately take. I do think there are elements of it that can be a little bit predictable, and you're going to kind of figure things out to a degree, but I think from the very beginning you almost kind of assume you think you know, but you don't really, I don't think. And yeah, as I already said, Bodies is a science fiction time travel show, and it is heavy on time loops. I don't think it ever gets to the point that it's confusing. Let me put it that way. Sometimes when you deal with shows that involve time travel, time loops, you know, all that good stuff. Sometimes it can get a little overwhelming, a little confusing, especially if a writer just doesn't know what the hell they're doing. But I think the writers of this, they had a pretty good grasp of what they were going for and what they were doing, and it felt like they knew the direction, you know, and it never gets confusing, I don't think. There are sometimes it kind of does, but eventually it gets explained. This show, I've definitely seen that this show has been compared very heavily to another Netflix TV show, Dark. Dark was a German production, and it was like about a small German town, and there's some disappearances of some local boys, and their bodies get found. And the show eventually does kind of verge off into like a science fiction time travel show. And yet Bodies is very, very similar to Dark. If you have seen Dark, I think you can know exactly what you're getting into with Bodies, because it's very parallel in some ways. Not to the point that it feels like it's plagiarizing, you know, because I was a little concerned when I first started kind of getting the Dark parallels. I was like, oh Lord, I hope this ain't like copying somehow, you know, but it never verges it to the point of feeling like plagiarism or copyright of any sort. Now this is based off of a graphic novel I found out by a guy named Cy Spencer, I think is who it was. I'm definitely very curious to check out the graphic novel after this to kind of compare and contrast, because I'm wondering what's similar and what's different. But I found this show to be so good, you guys. Is it perfect? No, hell no, it's not perfect. I think when it concludes, you still have some lingering thoughts and questions, and some kind of little niggling little threads, like, okay, what was up with this, you know? It's not perfect totally, but I think it's still very satisfying and just thoroughly entertaining. It is so twisty, turny, you guys. As Doctor Who likes to say, timey-wimey. It is so timey-wimey. I absolutely loved all the unique twists and turns. It's very creative. That's why it definitely has all those Dark comparisons, because Dark was just so absolutely creative and unique, and I think this show is definitely kind of in that same realm with the creativity and whatnot and uniqueness. And yeah, the fact alone, you know, having 4 detectives, 4 time periods, one same body going through it all, you know, how does it all eventually connect, you know? I just absolutely loved it. I liked how, you know, none of these detectives are entirely aware of each other, obviously, you know, since they're all from 4 different time periods. I mean, eventually, like, the lady, the detective who's like in the present, she eventually kind of starts realizing, hey, this dates back like decades, you know. She kind of starts to realize some things. But I liked how all of these detectives, you know, they had to work at their own pace and speed, and they had to kind of trust who they could trust, because it's weird, you know. Hey, I found this body and it dates back to like decades. Like this detective back then found this exact same body. It sounds so weird and bizarre. You sound like an insane, crazy person. You know, you can't just go off and tell somebody that. So I liked how this story unfolded. How all of the detectives had to kind of work within their own element and use their strengths and weaknesses. You know, their advantages and whatnot. And yeah, this show, it has such a wonderful cast. If you're someone like me who loves like British television, this cast is just full of all sorts of great people. So yeah, we have, up first we have Kyle Solar, who plays the character of Detective Hillinghead. Kyle Solar, who I absolutely love and adore from Poldark, yeah guys, poor cousin Francis. But yeah, Kyle Solar is in the show. I loved him. Yeah, he's in the 1890s, right? Yeah, he's in the 1890s setting. And then you have Jacob Fortune Lloyd, who plays Detective Whiteman. I previously enjoyed him earlier this year. He was in The Queen's Gambit, so I was really overjoyed to see him in this show. Jacob Fortune Lloyd playing the Detective Whiteman. He's a like a Jewish man, and he's in London during like the Nazi Blitz on London, you know. And I forgot to mention with Detective Hillinghead with Kyle Solar, his character is a closeted gay man, so that definitely provides some interesting story going on there with him being in the police force and a lot of homophobia going on during that time period, you know. So yeah, yeah, Healing Head being the 1890s, white men being in World War II London, and then the character of Detective Hassan, played by Amaka Okafor. She's in the modern day setting that's taking place in the year of 2023, and she's kind of the one who starts kind of drawing in all these various different threads of like, okay, there's something weird and bizarre going on here. And then we have the character of Maplewood, Detective Maplewood, played by Shira Haas. She's from the future. You guys, we have the future going on in this show too. It's a lot. And she was really fascinating and interesting as well. Her character, since her character comes from the future, this is the part in the show that I actually felt was the weakest in the entire show. I loved everything going on in the present and all the historical settings. I loved all that. The future had some issues for me because I felt like it wasn't very clearly established what kind of future this is. Like, what's so really terrible about it? Like, they didn't make it totally clear cut, like, what's so terrible about this future. It's like they sort of hinted at it, but not really, I don't think, because I'm still a little confused about it, like, what's so bad exactly. And I mean, it seems like a fine future, you know? I mean, it could have been because it's not like a dystopian future, like an apocalyptic future, you know, like something that looks like the Walking Dead universe or something. It don't look like some terrible future at all. Because a lot of times when you have time travel shows like this, the future is often just horrible. Like, dear God, I want to die now. Don't let me go to that future, you know? So I just felt like the future was not very clear cut or well defined exactly. And I wish we would have spent a little bit more time within that, because I felt like we spent a lot of really good time in the other scenarios and time periods and whatnot. So yeah, I was just a little kind of off kilter with the future. And then the character that kind of ties into all of this, a character named Mannix, who is played by Stephen Graham. And I don't want to really talk about the character of Mannix too much, because this is where you get a lot of what's going on with the time travel and a lot with the time loops. And his character, Stephen Graham's character, is hugely pivotal to the entirety of this show in some really interesting, fascinating ways. And that's really all I want to say about it, because that's part of the fun and joy of this show. You know, what is his connection? What is his thread through all of this exactly? So yeah, I think is that all I wanted to talk about with Bodies? I think that's all I wanted to talk about with Bodies. I just thoroughly love this show, you guys. So twisty turny, so timey-wimey. I freaking loved it. Like I said, if you love the TV show Dark, I think you're going to love this just as much, possibly. It's nowhere near as good as Dark, I don't think, but still kind of up there, I think, as far as like really good time travel, science fiction, timey-wimey type of shows, you know. And I really hope this does not get a second season. I saw the creator of the show talking about, oh, maybe if we do good, Netflix will give us a second season. You know, he was like, it doesn't really need one, but hey, if we get the chance, we'll do one. And I was thinking, oh, no, that's a bad attitude to have. You know, I think this honestly really needs to stay as just a standalone limited series. If it has a second series, I feel like it's going to defeat the purpose and point of what the season was all about at the end of the day, you know? So yeah, I definitely recommend Bodies if you have not gotten around to it just yet. It's like, seriously, I could sit here for a very long time talking about this show, you know, getting more into like the thematic stuff going on, a lot more of the character stuff going on, but it's the type of show, the less you kind of know, the better. It just makes it a lot more engaging, I think. So yeah, that being said about my thoughts and feelings on Bodies, let's move now into my thoughts on Our Flag Means Death Season 2, where I'm definitely going to be talking about spoilers. You guys, Season 2 of Our Flag Means Death was so much fun. What a fun season. Oh, Jesus. Let me put it this way. I don't think this season was on par with the first season, unfortunately, and I don't really mean that in a bad way, because what I kind of was struggling with this particular season, I felt like this particular season really didn't know what to do with itself as far as plot. It knew what it wanted to do, like, character-wise, you know, with the character of Steed and the character of Blackbeard and whatnot. It felt like it knew what it wanted to do character-wise, But as far as plot goes, it didn't really have much of a plot that was kind of going through the entire thing. It's like we finally got some sort of plot near the end, like kind of the last 2 episodes, but that was kind of it. You know, it really felt like the show didn't know what to do with itself. That it wanted to come back and have some fun with these characters, but yeah, in the meantime, well, there needs to be something else going on in the background. You know, it can't just strictly be character. So, yeah, I think that might sound like I didn't enjoy it, but the thing is, weirdly enough, it's like I found myself not caring. You know, even though it was so heavily focused on characters, like I found myself not caring because I like these characters so much. You know, these characters are just so fun and lovable and entertaining, and it's like, you know what? I don't care if there's no plot. You know, if there's no plot, fine. Because what mattered to me is that the fact that this show is just so fun. You know, it knows what it is. It knows who these characters are. It knows the type of story it kind of wants to tell. You know, it is. It's all about these characters who are misfits and outcasts, and they don't fit into any particular bubble. You know, that's why they've all joined the life of piracy. There's that wonderful there's that wonderful speech that the character of Izzy gives in the season finale when he's talking to Prince Ricky, I think it is, and Izzy's saying, you know, we don't become pirates because we want fame and fortune and glory and things. You know, we become pirates because society has essentially pushed us away, and this is our last resort that we can go to, and a place where we are loved and accepted for who we are. You know, and that's the crux of what this show is about. You know, and you definitely got that vibe back in season 1. You know, with the character of Steed, who he all he desired was to become a gentleman pirate, and he just was not having a great time in London with his wife and children. You know, he didn't feel like himself. He felt like there was something being denied him. You know, that's why he decided to become a pirate. So the show has always been about that, about outcasts and misfits. You know, the people who do not fit into regular society during this time period, and piracy is kind of the only door open to them. So yeah, seriously, what a wonderful speech by Izzy there in the finale. So I mean, that's what this show is about. You know, that's what the show is all about, and that's why it doesn't bother me the lack of plot at the end of the day. The show, every time I watch it, it gives me a smile. You know, I am just full of just so much like hope and love and joy as I watch this show. Weirdly enough, you know, I'm never like sad or depressed while I watch this show. It's like I know even if bad things are happening in the show, usually for the most part it will all wind up and turn out good at the end of the day. Kind of getting into a couple other random things here, because I've been talking about characters. I think the characters who had the best arcs this season that we got to spend a lot of time with, Steed and Ed, obviously, and their wonderful romance, yeah, guys. This show is so gay in the best possible way. I love it. I love that these two, their feelings for each other, their complex feelings for each other, and just wanting to try and make it work and whatnot. And you know, they had the fallout at the end of season 1 and whatnot, and Steve is trying to make everything better, and Ed in the meantime he's slowly trying to kind of get back into the swing of things, you know. But I think Steve and Ed definitely had the best arcs this season, obviously. Yeah, Ed, kind of the question of, you know, who am I? You know, am I just plain Ed? Am I Blackbeard? You know, am I a good guy? Am I a bad guy? You know, maybe what? Maybe I just want to be a fisherman or something, you know? He's really kind of struggling throughout this entire season what exactly it is he wants to be. And then some other characters that had good arcs. The character of Lucius, I was really pleasantly surprised with Lucius this season because he had the whole thing at in the end of season 1. You know, you weren't sure if he was alive or dead, and Ed cutting off his finger and everything, pushing him off the ship, and Lucius, they definitely have it like he has some severe PTSD, and he is definitely not on board the Blackbeard train whatsoever. And yeah, him and Pete get together at the end, you guys. Yay, that was really sweet. I love that. And I already mentioned Izzy. Izzy definitely had one of the better story arcs this season, I think, better character plots. Pleasantly enough, I enjoyed Izzy this season. He was easily one of my favorite, like, additional side characters. And yeah, as I said, this is going to be a spoilery discussion for this season. The character of Izzy does die in the finale, you guys. I was so sad and devastated. I kind of saw it coming, though, especially after he had that wonderful speech about why it is we join piracy, you know. Especially after that speech, I was like, oh dear God, he's died. And then yeah, they show him kind of get shot. You're not sure if he has been shot exactly, but then yeah, he just starts dripping out more and more blood and whatnot. I was so sad to see Izzy go. And yeah, him and Ed just having that really unique relationship with one another, you know, that's just so complex at times because they get so irritated with each other, but at the end of the day, you know, they do have kind of that mentor relationship and kind of almost like a father-son sort of relationship. And then an additional new character we got this season, Jing, the Pirate Queen. Yes, hell yes. Last season we didn't have many women at all, except for Steed's wife. So this season we got the introduction of Jing, who was known as like the Pirate Queen during this time period. I'm so glad she was included in this season because she was a real female pirate, and history has kind of pushed her to the side in some ways. I feel like, but I think she's gotten a lot more of a renewed interest in recent years, because I think there's been like historical fiction books with her featured in them, and there was like an episode of Doctor Who where she featured in an episode, I think like last year, and people are getting to know her and know her story because yeah, seriously, look up her story like on Wikipedia or something because she's just so fascinating. And yeah, Jean was just such a wonderful character. I loved her deadpan sense of humor, how she runs and manages her pirate ship compared to like Ed and Steve. They could use some lessons from her. And it looks like Jean is going to still be around in season 2. I really hope she remains. I liked her relationship with how's his name pronounced? Oyu? Oyu? I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. They say it and I can't ever keep it in my head how they're pronouncing it. I really liked her relationship with OU, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So I hope that kind of continues out more. Now, yeah, all of those characters had wonderful arcs. Like I said, Steed, Ed, Lucius, Izzy, and Jing. They all had such wonderful arcs where you really got to dig deep into their characters and, you know, their strengths and weaknesses, vulnerabilities, and whatnot, what makes them tick. But this show, like I said, the show definitely was lacking plot this season, but it was also just lacking all the other wonderful characters. I still can't tell you a thing about characters like Frenchie, Roach, and Wee John. I don't know a thing about those characters in some ways. Those are characters who are kind of there and they'll have some lines of dialogue and they'll do some things, but we haven't gotten any sort of chance over 2 seasons to spend some pivotal time with these characters and kind of get more of their stories and histories and why they're here, you know, which is a shame because, like, especially like the character of Frenchie played by Joel Fry, you know, he's such a wonderful comedian and his character is so interesting when he pops up, and it's like I would love to know more, you know. And then yeah, like the same with Wee John played by Christian Nairn, you know, Hodor from Game of Thrones. Wee John is always just kind of just sitting there and he'll kind of say a line or two of dialogue and it'd be funny, but I don't know a thing about Wee John, you know, which is a shame. So that's definitely a complaint for me with this season. I still don't know a thing about some of these characters. It's like the cast is so huge. You know, the cast is so huge, and rightfully so, you have to focus on characters like Steed and Ed and whoever your new villain is and whoever your new character, you know. But yeah, I mean, the other crew members, you know, they're just as fascinating, and it's like I want to know more about them. And then I was also kind of upset with this season too with certain characters who were very huge in the first season, but all of a sudden they kind of just dwindled away in this season. Characters like OU, like I said, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Jim, I love Jim. Black Pete. These characters all still are in this season. They still had things going on, but I felt like they were just still kind of pushed to the side in some ways. Like Jim especially, I really liked Jim last season, and Jim just kind of vanishes. all of a sudden and has some lines of dialogue, and it looks like there's a romance blooming and sparking there, but you don't really get much more other than that. So maybe Jim will feature a bit more next season, you know? So I guess just to finish my thoughts, conclude my thoughts here on Our Flag Means Death, are we going to get a season 3? Yeah, guys, that's a big question. Are we going to get a season 3? It almost seemed like the show ended in a nice way that was wrapped up, you know, Ed and Steed going off to be innkeepers. Because we saw when Minnie Driver was a guest on one of the episodes, you know, we saw her and her love interest and how they were just kind of away from piracy and doing their own thing. And it seems like Ed and Steve, that's what they want to do. They don't want to be pirate captains anymore, maybe. So if the show does get canceled and it doesn't come back, I think it did end in a very satisfying way, that at least you know where all the characters are, where they stand, who's with who. There's like no lingering drama, you know, no lingering drama, no lingering angst. So I'm pretty happy with where it ended, you know. But yeah, if it does come back for a third season, if Max decides to renew it, then hell yes, I am all in for a third season, because like I said, the show's just so fun. You know, it's not perfect, you know, it definitely lacks on plot for the most part, but I don't care. I love these characters, and I love the world that's been established, and it's just so fun. It's a feel-good show. You know, it's just such a lovable feel-good show that makes you feel good at the end of the day, and it's like we need that. You know, there's so much television out there that's so dark and dramatic and angsty and depressing, and this is the type of show, you know, if you're just having a bad day or there's bad things going on in your life, you know, it's just it's a wonderful show to just come home, spend, you know, 30 minutes to an hour with it, you know, however many episodes you're binging with it, you know. It's just such a fun show to sit and kind of watch a few episodes and laugh, you know, have a nice laugh and a smile at the end of each episode. So yeah, I'm definitely curious. Have you guys watched season 2 of Our Flag Means Death? How'd you feel about it? And are you hoping there's a third season? So you guys, that is it for my thoughts and feelings on both of these shows, Bodies and season 2 of Our Flag Means Death. In the comments below, have you guys watched either of these shows? Do you plan on watching them? Just let me know your thoughts down below. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.